Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Sa wo hwɛ sa video yi ewia na wo bɛte sentira ɛyɛ MPP4 ɛne Dr. Bawumia na chidifo nyinara adwa line no omubu afu ɛyɛ Global Info Analytics for researcher match yi mu omode ba abonten no. In fact, I create so much hatred for omo regarding a kwanya omo fa so year research no ne ho keka ho na TV3 the key point so omo ko fa papa ana se meka ne say opinion kese a oda Global Info Analytics for no ano e ma no be kyerɛkyerɛ nyomam na in fact ne nkyerɛkyerɛ mu no e ma me hu say nkrofo no omo abɔ adwuma nkasa na eno so e ma me hu nientira MPP4 adwa line na omaye omadwene say akwawe ye de obeto tankuruwam ne ya sopaw ne ya discredito. In fact, we hwe analysis a papa no eye regarding research o ma ye efa said ye Ghana fo esu hu omampanyini John Dramani Mahama ene omampanyini abadi akire Bawumia omu nyina omu competence level ne said ye Ghana fo su ji omu si difa ene ho keka ho a chese wankasa ubete adje na se mepase yekọ na yekohwe video no na yetie said ye Global Info Analytics for esi hye omu nyoma research no ema imubeda ho a enne aye one of the talk about researches ewo Ghana hanom pepato ansa na ye be kon message so be subscribe to the channel and me pacho subscribe to the channel na like video no efa ma ye no like ya ebo ama video no kwachire ama afoforo so etumi enya bi ehwe ane na wa share video no so ama afoforo so enya bi ahwe. Yes, me pacho yenko na yenko hwe video no emra sisi ane yentoa yenko mo no so.
You put out a poll this week, Global Info Analytics. The details of it, at least, indicating that if elections were held within a particular period, John Dramani Mahama was going to win by over 50%. That did not go down well with the Dr. Bawumia campaign team. In fact, let's put the details of this poll on the screen right now. We'll run through it, and I'm going to ask you a few questions that came up after you released the poll this week, revealing that Dr. Bawumia is trailing Mahama was 54.3%, 34.6% for Dr. Bawumia, 7.5% for Alan Chemanting, 2.3% for Nana Kwame Bediako, 0.7% for Gum, and then also Hassan Ayerga in that order, Kofi Akpalu, and then you see the others as well following in that order. This you captioned it the voting intentions of committed voters. Now, within which period was this poll done?
All right, this poll was carried out between 22nd March and 31st March.
22nd March to 31st of March. Mm-hmm. I see. And what questions did you ask these persons with the response you see there?
There were close to 41 questions.
41 questions.
Excluding the demographic questions regarding where they are. And the first one that we always ask is the perception of voters about where the country is headed. And then we ask them questions about the performance of the president, and then the performance of the MPP government as a whole. We also ask them questions about their standard of living in the last 12 months. Has it improved, gotten worse, or stayed the same? We ask them about optimism for improvement going forward, whether they are optimistic things will improve going forward. We also ask them about the corruption in the country, their perception of corruption in the country. And then we do ask them questions about their voting intentions. And then also we ask them whether they were first-time voters. And we also ask them whether they voted in 2020 elections, and if so, how did they vote? So we are able to then triangulate to some of these responses to see the intelligence that hide in those data. So there are quite about 41 questions which we published alongside the report. So those who want to see what we asked, the questions are available online, free of charge.
See, 41 of those questions. And let me just run through the next. Apart from this, the headline, which is the 53% for John Mahama and so on, there's some detail as well that you put out that paints or gives some further and better particulars to what we just saw. Let's run through them. This is by region. So Ahafo, you see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, according to this poll, and within this period, leading with 58%, John Mahama 25. Ashanti region, 54 for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 31 for John Mahama. Bono region, 49, John Mahama, 32, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then Bono East, 49, 23 for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then Central region, a swing region, crucial, as we've seen in previous elections, 51% for John Mahama, 45 for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then also you see the Greater Accra region, 73 for John Mahama, 21% for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Northeast, 58-26. And then you see in the Eastern region as well, you say, based on the poll, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would have taken that region. And then also the Northern region, 68 for John Mahama, 31 for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Savannah, 73, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 26. So even in the northern regions, I'm talking about the 5 regions of the north, you have, based on this poll, John Mahama winning all of those 5 regions of the north. And considering the fact that these 2 persons are from the northern region, it's also another place to look at as well. But you say that in terms of voter apathy in the Ashanti region and Greater Accra regions, let's start from the Ashanti region. What were the reasons that these respondents gave? Because I see voter apathy actually very high.
Unfortunately, we don't ask them reasons. These are close-ended surveys. So we don't ask them reasons, but it's a clue for anyone who wants to go and do a follow-up to see why they're not voting. But we didn't have enough time to be there asking open-ended questions, so we have to be within the time. In Ashanti region, about 23% of all people who said they won't vote in Ghana are from the Ashanti region.
23%
of all voted,
all the people who said
in Ghana here, vote, who said they won't vote, are from the Ashanti region.
And did you get a sense that it was because of disappointment or the person just didn't?
No, we don't want to speculate because we didn't ask them direct questions. So we have to stay within our lane, as we normally say. But then if you look at 22% of them being Accra, but there's a way you could figure out why. If you cross-tab those who say they won't vote and how they see the direction of the country, you can figure it out.
Right. I see.
Yes.
And because you asked them a question about whether the direction the country is heading.
Yes.
And what was the response then?
About 65% of voters said we are headed in the wrong direction.
65%?
Yes.
So we are heading in the wrong direction?
Wrong direction. Even though that was a slight decline compared to January, which was 68%, it's dropped by 3% to 65% now, but it's still quite high, that level.
I see. And even you talk about the young voters as well, that's the first-time voters who were surveyed in this poll. Give me the details of that one as well. And we have that, we'll put that on the screen. The first-time voters, what was the outcome? What questions did you even ask them?
It's the same question we ask everybody.
I see.
But then we analyze those questions based on your gender, your age, and other demographic questions that we put out there. So when we look at those who said it's headed in the wrong direction and they are between 18 and 35, 65% of them said Ghana is headed in the wrong direction. This is the youth voting age.
The youth voters?
Yes.
And the methodology that you use has come under some questioning after you release this. Because, for instance, the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia team says that it's not rigorous enough. You can't take a sample size of what? 6,128 voters were interviewed, out of which 5,928 responded, and want to make it representative. How do you respond to this? Because 5,928 sample size for this poll.
Let me start with the methodology. Whether it is rigor or not doesn't lie in the opinion of somebody. But if you display and put out the methodology out there, every researcher who has done research can go through it and either confirm or deny that this approach is not vigorous enough. How do we go about it? The sampling size they're talking about is not done by somebody's imagination or somebody's wishful thinking. It is driven by a mathematical formula. It is mathematics. Mm-hmm. If you are saying that we have 18.5 million people in Ghana who could vote, and that you want to do a survey of this population, and you want to have 99% confidence level for this survey that you're going to embark on, and you choose a margin of error of 1.6%, the results of the sample size you need to engage is 6,128. It's mathematics. You can prove it or disprove it. Nobody can say that this will not give you this result. So this is the base on which you discount the sampling size question they raised. Now, we could get this sample size all right, but if you go and deploy all the sample in Ashanti region, what would you get? That would not be representative enough. So this 6,000 sample is then distributed to all the regions based on the contribution of that region to voters register in Ghana here. So if you look at what we did, we deployed 20% of the sample in Greater Accra, because in Greater Accra there are more voters than in Ashanti region. Ashanti got 18%, then followed by Eastern region 10%, Central 9%, Western 7%, Northern 6%, voters, and so on and so forth. So these are weighted distribution of the sample. That means that it is rigor, it is scientific. And then when we have done that regional sample, we use a model to select 30% of the 275 constituencies in Ghana. That 30% gives you 82 constituencies.
So you deployed this survey in 82 constituencies?
Yes.
And you say 55 out of the 82, John Mahama was leading or led?
Yes, leading in those constituencies.
But within the period of the survey?
Yes, but let me land on this sampling issue.
Okay.
I've always been given this example. When you're preparing a soup, you get all your ingredients, everything perfect. Those are the methodology you deploy in sampling. Once you put the soup on fire, you stir everything put together. The pepper is there, the salt is there, everything is perfectly stirred up in the pot. If you want to taste the soup, you don't drink the entire bowl, but you take a spoon and fetch from the bowl and you taste it. The way it tastes in your mouth, that's how the entire soup tastes. That is the science of sampling a population. As simple as that.
Well, there was another issue as well, that the people who you deploy these questions to or you sample, you don't know their political affiliation. So if you have more MPP or more NDC persons responding to this survey than NPP persons, obviously you would have this outcome.
You see,
because you don't have the chance of knowing their political affiliation.
The criteria for selecting people is not by party affiliation. If you go through our questionnaire,
but I see a survey, in fact, part of the details of the survey that talked about party affiliation.
No, I'm coming there.
Okay.
You see, we understand the psychology of voters in this country. We never start our questionnaire with your party affiliation or even the demography. The party affiliation question is the last question we ask you, because we know in this country, once they disclose that, it begins to affect what they tell you. So it is by science that we put that question last. So you have no chance to go and alter what you told us earlier on.
The last of the 41.
Yes. And then again, you see, when you deploy people in the street randomly, interviewing people, that is why we say that it's representative of the people being interviewed in that location at a point in time. If you pick more people who are NDC in Buta region, would that be a surprise?
Obviously not.
If you pick people who are MPP in Ashanti region, would that be a surprise? No. So you have to look at all those details. And then overall, how many respondents said they were MPP, how many were NDC, and how many were floating voters? And indeed, the trick lies in the views of those who said they were MPP and the views of those who said they were NDC. and those who are saying they are floating voters. How are they behaving within their tribe or within their party affiliation? It is more telling than looking at the bigger number. We don't sampling people because they are MPP or NDC. But if you go to Ashanti region, what would you expect? So if you go to Western region, you see that the number of people say they're MPP, NDC is smaller. Central is smaller. The swing areas are smaller because that's how they behave naturally.
But that issue of this average sample size, I had one of your research colleagues also pointed out that when we had a conversation within this week, that the average sample size, if you're looking at the 82 constituencies that you sampled, if you do simple division mathematics, that means that you're talking about 73 for each constituency of the 82 that you sampled, and that is certainly not representative enough.
No, you see, and that's why we go to the length of producing the sampling for every location. They haven't even read the report. If you go to the 82 constituencies, the bigger the constituency, the more sample is given. So this is not factual. It's just completely not backed by anything. The reports are clearly showing that in Asawasi, we had 101 or so people being interviewed. If you go to Afram Plains, say the Afram Plains, about 45 people, because it is a smaller constituency. Everything there is weighted. So people should not make kind of sweeping statements without even reading the report. And it is because of this allegation that we put everything in the report, including the gender, how many women we interviewed, how many men we interviewed, and how many of those who said they were other genders. Unfortunately, we have them.
I see.
Yes.
And some people who responded and said they were neither male nor female.
We've been in the field for almost 2 years now. There are people you meet, they say, I'm not a male, I'm not a female. Wow. And we couldn't put them anywhere but to create a new column called other gender.
I see. And were there that many? Were they that representative enough to be captured in the survey?
It's interesting. Whether they're representative or not, we need to know where they are. And because, you see, to make campaign issues more targeted, you must have data. In certain parts of constituencies, there are more of them than other places.
Interesting.
And we know those places.
You know the places where the
yes
persons who don't identify as male and female.
Absolutely.
Most of them are.
Absolutely.
And that data can also help. Maybe you should concern yourself with.
So when I hear that our report is scanty, I laugh. Because what we put out there is less than 5% of what we have.
Yeah, I see. Because of this LGBT conversation and matters arising, you can interest yourself in having a poll so we get to know at least a representation, figuratively, you talk about the number of persons who identify as either do not identify as male or female, but
it doesn't make them LGBTQ people.
Yes, indeed. I mean, obviously, I'm just
some are biologically in that situation.
Okay, but well, I mean, the basics are what I've just thrown to you, because whenever you put out this poll, this is not the first time such questions are coming up. Whenever you put out a poll, but the Honorable Chiana.
Joe, NT Opinion Kessia, your friend Musa Dankwa, ya oda Global Info Analytics for Ano Ena Yakofa Nanudin some any interview our year no over the key point TV3 so Eddie Abramo CCI. Mesra mo say Mwankasa Oshe video you ya na one like video no one subscribe to your channel no na wa share so ama fufuro so etumi enya bi ahwe. Yes. In fact, make me I can say for the past years, but fans by 2019 more ever 2020 to 2024 year one of the polls organizers are me can say omudimu and Ghana for ajo omadipa info global info analytics for so share omo researches so far omaye efa abato ho e Ghana ha dia metumi aka say top notch wo hwe de omoye fa 2020 elections ho ni nyina no utumi say close che say no like close wo hwe de omoye de fa say by elections ba Ghana ha kuma wudie ne asenfosu die ne ho keka ho ni asen north die wo hwe ni nyina to say yes grofo no omote adwuma na omoye no ase na we na 2024 elections bekoyi enkrofo a start omoye analysis na menti ase MPP for ebe mo omubu ahuhuru na omubu afusa because we share analysis and crofo here. Now we compare the cause we krum ushia nipa niang someone crofo can. I see no reason why somebody would doubt such a research. So we share even MPP mu ankasa enyoma ekoso wo MPP mu ene said ye even MPP fo ankasa omu hia Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia okuta omu franka no emu hia na okrom ne ho ade ade a like vibe no vibration no hu say vibration e ho ka e ho ka enti no nwa say ene bibi say beba na obehwe na nkrofo bi ho pese omu put to doubt on such research, but said Professor Ekan, no, Massa, at the end of the day, uchu mu time, sa na beba no. At the moment it will go against somebody, the other side will rise against it, and they will, throw doubt on it. Bemana could look like say at the end of any papa, but in fact, a form any yebihu the ebekoso. Eti media the American chere NDC for amanyokuo no ene se masa mamoma complacency biara enseti in we just a fair idea mamuhu adwuma mo ye ni impact enya it was a deepening in fact a motivating mo ye more the likes of friends saying honorable Joseph Yamin more for you friends saying Menipa friends saying Gandhi. In fact, you are really working more Juma. Sami Jemfimo, chairman general, Sidun Ketia. In fact, friends said chairman, first general secretary, Fifi Kwete more Juma, and this should motivate you to do more for the party and Ghana as a whole. And we know Emma Panko yes. The regional executives everywhere, the constituency executives, in fact, Obiara should, liaise in the booth na omonfa adwuma enwuram na enkurumidie be Ghana fo nyina edia. Aha PENDREAM TV, make sure so subscribe to the channel. No, I like it video no edi amai no subscribe friends was share video no so ama afoforo so to me anya bi ahwe PENDREAM TV say edamu yopo.
Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de ose dem yopo.